everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, plays the Binding of Isaac AFTERBIRTH Plus. We've been racking up the wins. They give me a seed, I say send that back to the kitchen. Give me a win. 8KR3 6JWV. Start with Polyphemus. Oh, thank God, I don't think it's the D Infinity. Not that I would be against the D Infinity. Just that we've had it recently. And I was looking forward to not having to reroll Polyphemus. Oh my God, with a 50 rate of fire, we gotta be a little bit... let's just say we gotta pick and choose a little bit more what we shoot when we shoot it. It's actually not quite as bad as it looks. I'm just a little bit nervous. I also don't know what I'm gonna do with this Joker card. It's kind of... if we don't use it on this floor... we pretty much have to hold it for like 2 extra floors. Just cross. Oh, he almost got me. The reason I say that is because there's just no point to using it on the next floor when we've got a very, very good chance of getting a deal as is. That's better. I think I like this a lot better, actually. Our shots, I mean, with 10 damage, we're still going to kill anything in more or less 1 hit. Would it really... well, okay, of course that guy takes 2 hits. Just to make me look like a freaking fool. Either way. I mean, this is really, really good. Statistically. Repeating, of course. Considering the only stat upgrade we have is the HP that we just picked up. Without getting any augments to, like, rate of fire or damage, except Polyphemus. This is totally fine. Now, the Hourglass is really bad and boring, in my opinion. So this whole Joker situation basically comes down to... your boy has to have some courage. No, he doesn't, because we got an item that's guaranteed to give you HP. So this is exceptionally great and amazing. And I am good to go. I mean, this is an incredible start. We're starting to rebuild... what I might describe as a bona fide genuine streak. A streak the likes of which we haven't seen for 45 days. Give or take maybe a couple of weeks on either end. Let's see what we got going on in here. We got an Ace of Diamonds. I love it when the deuces are wild. I don't really care so much about the Ace of Diamonds. I haven't thought about that Aerosmith song in a while. You know, I've said some not so flattering things about Aerosmith. I don't hate Steven Tyler. There's a really... I don't know if this airs in the United States. This commercial, I'm so glad I found an anecdote early. It airs at the movie theater before big movies, and I would know because I only see big movies. The glitz, the glamour, the sound of the popped corn. Do I want extra butter? Do I look like I want extra butter? Don't answer that. The answer is yes. So the way it's a Kia commercial, and the way that it works is Steven Tyler. I don't know if I want to reroll just yet. You know, lead singer of Aerosmith. 70 something is my guess. I'm not gonna say he looks bad for his age, but you know, I'm trying to think of a delicate way to put this, okay? Some men age gracefully, and some men just kind of continue to lean on that rock and roll persona. I don't know, I might end up looking like a raisin. I'm not trying to act like I'm superior, but you know, Ozzy Osbourne never, for better or worse, gave up on his own unique style, right? He's Ozzy Osbourne. When you see him out in public, he doesn't have, like, close-cropped gray hair. Like, he's rocking the long, obviously dyed rock and roll hair still. And it's Steven Tyler. He just kind of pruned up. His hair got a little sandy. It's weird because it has a streak of gray, but, like, who are you fooling? It's like it's dyed, and then they re-dye a little part of it gray, and then it tricks people into thinking, you know, oh, he's not gray. He has every right to be gray. He's old. His daughter is middle-aged. That means he has to be old. I don't care how many times you loved in an elevator, okay? We're just taking it slow for a second here. So Steven Tyler wakes up. He's old. It's the opening to Dream On. Turns out, they goes, Mr. Tyler, we're ready for you. He's at a test track. He hops in a Kia. And then it goes, dream on, dream on. He throws it in reverse and goes around the track backwards because he is a rock and roller who happened to write a really sappy pop song for one of the biggest movies in 1999, Armageddon. But dude, he's like counterculture. He has long hair. Anyway, he does a lap around the track in reverse. When he gets out of the car, young Steven Tyler. Like 22-year-old Steven Tyler. CGI. You know, like some Star Wars Rogue One sort of situation going on. Oh, don't mind if I do. I can live with that, I guess. He gets out of the car. Gets mobbed by, like, adoring fans who happen to be attractive young ladies, mostly. Dream on! Dream on! And then, you know, it's buy a Kia for some reason. Is the gist of the end of the commercial. I always thought, I wouldn't be offended, by the way, because work is work, dude. I'm sure he got paid for that commercial. It's a car manufacturer and he's already wealthy. Or at least, you know, well known. I don't know, I'm not saying he's not wealthy, I just don't know what his personal situation is like, so I don't want to assume. I will pay a bomb for 5 cents. But you could see how somebody would be offended, right? If you were, like, you're old, no offense. It's just, you know, it's a fact. And they're like, hey, what about a commercial that takes you out of your sad old life? Gives people the fantasy that they could be young again. And we want you, pruned up old rock star, to symbolize how good your life would be if you were young instead of old and crappy now. I would be a little offended. I'd be like, hey, listen. I got good things going on in my life. Radio stations play my songs fairly frequently. I've got a comfortable existence. Don't make it seem like I'm in, you know, I'm decrepit. He's still out and about moving around. He's well preserved. As far, he might even be in his 80s. I'm just gonna level with you. I don't know the. Let me check. I think it's worth checking on. Steven, he's probably in his early 70s. Now that I think about it, he's literally 70. Okay, it was ridiculous to suggest that he's 80 years old. Have you ever seen an 80-year-old? I mean, probably. They don't look like Steve Tyler. Now, Steven Tyler doesn't look like most 70-year-olds either, but I think between 70 and 80, there's a lot of changes that take place in the male physique, you know? Although, you know, in Hollywood, you got a chance. And he's in Hollywood one way or the other. Get this off the screen. What's the Hollywood for music? He's in Nashville? No, it's all done in Los Angeles. Don't play with me, okay? This is the perfect area for us. Relatively low range, but insane damage, good rate of fire. All we need is a speed upgrade. Don't touch the D8 anymore. We just 2-hit the mushroom. Despite one of those hits being when it was, like, not even exposed. That's a great situation for us. What do you got? What do you got? Yes. Yes, I will. Just thought it's like a... It's another question that I ask now and then when you see movies. And I guess the answer is, you know, first off, you're getting paid. And secondly, you're an actor. So you don't take it personally. No thank you. It's just, it's kind of a boring synergy. Don't take it the wrong way. You're an actor. You're a professional. So you just kind of like, you know, get over it, right? And you get paid for it. You always wonder when somebody is cast as just like a disgusting person in a movie. You know, when they like... they'll always like spotlight someone and be like, why don't you go out with him? And then the star of the movie, Chyler Lee or whatever her name is, goes, ew. No, gross. And I'm like, man. What's really messed up is that dude is probably just like a handsome guy by normal standards. And then they're like, hey you, Uggo, we need someone to play a piece of human trash in the movie. You interested? We'll pay you scale. And then they ugly him up for the movie. Hey, you gonna put some makeup on me? Make me ugly? Yeah, we're gonna put some makeup on you, make you ugly. You got the idea. You're just pushing me on the set now. I don't understand. Just you do you, buddy. You do you. You know, there's a couple actors in Hollywood that are in this role. And I'm not saying they're living a bad life. I'm just saying when we tend to think of movie stars, you know, we think of most of the time handsome, physically fit, you know, starring leading men and leading ladies, right? There's some Hollywood actors, there's like one dude, he always plays fat dads. That's like his role. You need a fat dad, you call this guy. You ever see him? He was in Transformers. Oh, who did he play? He played Shia LaBeouf's dad, who overeats. I'm not calling him fat to be rude. The script was probably like, in walks dad. He has a body that looks like a dad's body. I was stoked, you know. I heard that, you know, this is a couple years ago now. Heard that the dad bod was becoming like a physique that was in vogue. That's amazing. Please keep that up, because the real physique that most of the time people want to see, you wouldn't believe it, how hard it is to maintain, you know? There was a time in my life where you know, we're talking 10, almost 15 years ago now, really paid attention to what I ate. You know, macronutrient breakdowns every single day. The wisdom was a little bit different back then. I was rocking like a 30% carb, 30% fat, 40% protein diet, but don't do it. Fine, I'll take it. And, you know, I worked out and I cared about myself. And it was really, really hard. You'd think, like, you know, you put in a lot of work. You get your torso looking nice. And then you're like, I'll just coast. There is no coasting. It's just gone in like 3 months. And once you get out of that 3-month period, it's almost what are you? This is so cool. It's tough to get it back. And it never gets, it remains tougher forever. I will not reroll this run anymore. I want you to give me a spacebar item. In fact, I'll just go take the D8 again. Because as far as I'm concerned, we got what we needed. This is so cool. But regardless, that takes a lot of work. A dad bod doesn't take that much work. What's messed up is it does still take some work. We have the backpack. That's hilarious. I mean, you can't just eat garbage and poison and never exercise at all. You know, you gotta have like functional muscles. You ever have that when you're, you know, it's always weird to me when you're like 14 and you're kind of in shape by like a kid's standpoint, and then you go to like, you know, maybe your parents are moving or something like that. Not like around the house, I mean like they're moving houses. Let's mess with it, see what happens. I don't want to reroll the other one, though. I'm thinking, like, the faster the rate of fire, the faster the tier bounces, which would be hilarious. Okay, so get this out of here. I think that was AWAS. Very interesting. We can totally roll with that. And, like, you know, we moved. My uncle is not in shape. My uncle came to help us move. And as a 14, 15-year-old, I was like, I gotta move circles around this guy. Not that, you know, he would care. He'd probably be happy he has to do less work because he's not the one moving. Nobody likes to move. And especially nobody likes to move, you know, just as a favor. You might get a pizza out of it at the end of the day, but it's not worth it. That's the dirty little secret there. We must have, I don't know what's going on, because we have way more spiders than I would expect. Either way, though, this doesn't matter that much. There is, like, a real component of dad strength, you know? My uncle is not necessarily in what you would consider good shape. I was in the prime of my physical life, at least on a, like, I'm feeling comfortable taking my shirt off in public level, even if I was the only 16-year-old I'd ever met who had, like, shoulder hair. But, like, ignoring that, everything else, everything that was within my control and not genetic hirsuteness was solid, dude. It was on lock. I thought I'd be lifting mattresses and refrigerators up the stairs by myself. I come in, I'm like, look at a box with 4 books in it. It's really heavy. He comes in, he's slinging around, you know. He's like, hey, you guys want to take the laundry machine up the staircase? I'm like, no, I don't want to take the laundry machine up the staircase. Are you crazy? I have a life to look forward to. I don't want to fall backwards and get creamed like it's a slapstick comedy. I actually did work as a mover once. I worked at I took like a test at a temp agency. It's where you get placements for jobs that are temporary. It's still a thing, I think, but in the 90s, when I was younger, too young to work, you couldn't shake a stick without hearing somebody talking about temp work. So, oh, I'm temping it. Oh, I'm going to go temp here. I'm temping here, you know. I don't know if it's still as popular as it used to be. Now they just do unpaid internships that they force you to have in order to get any foot in the door. Either way, you know, I digress. It's not really about that. I had to be up at 5 in the morning. I got in a car with 2 people I've never met before in my life. That were like twice my age and 4 times my size and 8 times my strength. It's like a cubic function. I remember we get to the house. There's 3 movers. There's me and these 2 other guys. One of the dudes, he's a large man. He picked up the fridge and then he had like a belt. Like a weighted, well, it's not a weight belt, but you know, like a belt to brace himself and also tether himself to the thing that could possibly kill him. And he just wrapped it around himself and the fridge. So they were like in a slow dance together. And my dude just walked up the stairs with the refrigerator being basically like him weighing 200 extra pounds. He walked up the stairs. People were like, you need a spot? I didn't say it because I'm temping. I'm making like $43 for 12 hours of work. And it's the worst work of all time, okay? If you work as a mover, you have my utmost, like, unbelievable amount of respect. That is a job I will not do for myself. Even, I mean, the last time, we have it pretty easy, okay? When we moved from, like, our old apartment to this apartment, we had, like, 3 weeks of overlap where we had both of them. So we would just, like, drive over a couple of loads that were going to be in the new house a few times a week. And by doing that, the moving was very, very simple. But when it came time to move the furniture, we called movers. And the movers were very appreciative. They were like, hey, you know, you guys, you only have like 6 things for us to move. That's a pretty easy day. And we're like, yeah. You know why that is? Because I worked as a mover once and it was the worst thing of all time. I only want you guys picking up the stuff that... I'm not going to make your job so easy that I'm going to move the heavy stuff and be like, hey, you guys take the boxes. But, you know, I'm also not going to be like, hey, carry a bunch of light stuff that I could easily do myself. I'm like, I want you guys, you're moving desks, beds, appliances, that's it. Anyway, I have the utmost respect for movers, dude. I did that job for 1 day. Again, I woke up at 5. I got home at like 7. On the drive home from the house that we had moved the stuff to the location where I was to receive my meager paycheck, the driver of the vehicle smoked a marijuana cigarette and made me very uncomfortable because I was like, hey, dude, I'm just trying not to die on the 1 day that I'm going to do this job. I don't really want to get into the argument about whether it's worse than drinking and driving, because I have no idea. I just think it's bad to do. And, you know, when you're driving... we were driving basically an 18-wheeler. And I was sitting in the cab with, like, a seatbelt that probably hadn't been tested since 1974. It's like, can you just do it tomorrow? And then, like, if you die, I'm not gonna be happy you died. You seem like a pretty cool guy. But, at the same time, I don't want to be a part of it. Anyway. That temp work was great because it motivated me to not do temp work ever again. I was very offended, basically, because I went into the temp agency and they're like, we're going to do some skills tests to, like, figure out what kind of environment you would thrive in. I did not mean to pick this up. That's fine, because this is amazing. I went in and did a typing test. One of the skills I'm strongest at in my entire life is typing. I'm not even saying it's valuable. It wasn't even valuable back then. But if you're going to give me a typing test, I'm stoked, because I can type real fast, okay? They gave me a test in proficiency in Microsoft Office. Have to imagine I got at least intermediate on that one. I know how to use Excel. I know how to use friggin' Access. You know the programs that you get when you buy Microsoft Office? And let's just pretend that that's a thing that happens for most people. I did buy it recently in order to get PowerPoint very quickly to work on a project, but I digress. And you go, well, I don't need any of this. I just want Word. I'm the guy who knows how to use the other ones, okay? Let me out. I don't want to be a part of that charade there. They gave me like a math test. You know, it's basic arithmetic and problem solving. I had a high school diploma and a year of university under my belt. Not a problem. Okay? Get the call from the temp agency. Hey, we got a placement for you tomorrow. Oh, is it at the university? Not quite. Not quite. And I think what it really came down to is that they were like, you know, the jobs that you think you're qualified for are good jobs. You should really apply for those. The jobs that people come to the temp agency for is like, hey, we need someone with arms and a spine who doesn't really respect themselves enough or is not in a financial position to say no. So I'm like, okay, sure. See you at 5 in the morning. How hard could it be? Really hard. If you're working as a mover, don't take this as an insult, okay? It's meant as a sign of respect. It's a very, very difficult job. Now, those movers that we had last time, did they say that they were going to take our mattress for personal use and then just leave it outside of our old apartment, leading to a very angry phone call from our landlord, who told us that we were destroying their property values, even though the property value for even a single shoebox in this city has gone up 4,000% in the last, 16 milliseconds? Yes, it did. And that's why I chose not to give them a review on Yelp and Google, even though they asked and said it would help out a great deal. I'm sorry to tell you, it would have been dishonest to have given you a 5-star review, because that was not a 5-star experience. And I imagine if I gave you a 3-star review, you probably would have been like, just don't leave one. Because our average is like 4.3 or something right now. But that's more of a don't leave a review situation than it is of a try to get somebody fired or ruin their business by giving them a 1-star review. That's the way I see that issue. You may agree or disagree. Mistakes happen. I'm not too bummed about it. In our defense, that landlord also sucked. I don't think I've ever told this anecdote before. So the way that things work in Vancouver is that it's when you rent a place, you sign a big old contract, which is very, very common, and you go like, okay, so here's the rules of the tenancy. You give them 13 checks, one for each month, and then one for a safety deposit as well, or a damage deposit. So if you break something, you don't get the damage deposit back. After that point, in many parts of the world, you would contact your landlord and be like, we need to sign another lease. We want to continue staying here. The way that it works in Vancouver, or at least in British Columbia, or at least Vancouver, I should say, after you finish your tenancy agreement, it goes to a month-to-month arrangement. So if no party gives notice to the other party, you just continue business as usual, but you haven't given them any checks. So you have to put the check through the mailbox once a month, Everything was going fine. We lived here for like a year and a half, 2 years, so we were on you know, the month-to-month agreement until somebody gave notice. I get a call one day. I'm pooping, just so you know. And it's probably like November 2nd, okay? The call is our landlord, and she's furious. Like, unbelievably furious. And she's like, hey, just so you know, we're gonna start eviction proceedings, like, tomorrow. And I was like, what do you mean, start evictions proceedings? And she said, well, you haven't paid your rent. And I said, what is wrong with you? We live... The office that you're calling me from is 8 floors below where I'm currently sitting. Just give me a call and say, hey, did you forget to pay the rent? I went down with a check in my hand like not 10 seconds later. And was like, here's your rent, you weirdo. And that's really what kind of kickstarted us wanting to move out of that place. It was an okay arrangement, even though the new one is better. Is that she basically, you know, I'm not saying we didn't make a mistake. We were late with the rent. We had the money. We just, you know, it lapsed our minds. You expect, our power company, if you're late to pay the bill, they give you a phone call that's like, hey, you're not in trouble or anything, but we're just letting you know, like, the bill was due yesterday. Did it slip your mind? And you just go, oh yeah, sorry, duh, that's on me. Here's the money. And they go, thank you. And that's 10-second phone call, no problem. This lady was gonna go drive to the freaking courthouse before giving a phone call to say, like, you know, hey, did you forget to drop off that check? I don't know, she's probably had some bad experiences in the past. But either way. You know, I in the end, she ended up being okay. By the time we left, you know, we were like, we don't really like you, but, you know, I haven't had worse landlords, but, you know, you didn't spy on us when we were pooping or something like that, so thanks for nothing, I guess. But yeah, she was gonna, I don't know, go down to the courthouse and then print out an eviction notice and then put an ad on Craigslist and take 15 other people through the apartment and then find a new tenant and vet all their references and stuff like that. It's like, lady, what is wrong with, just give a call. It's not like the eviction is not like, oh boy, they messed up, now I get to do an eviction. Unless they, you know, they do get to raise the rent slightly more, but I don't think that was actually the situation. Because it happened, like, so fast. And if they wanted to, they could basically just kick you out and be like, oh yeah, we're gonna do a renovation on it, so, and then they could jack the rent by like 20%. Which we probably would have still paid, just for the convenience of still being there, but maybe that makes us suckers. Either way, that's that story. I basically hate that lady. Our new landlord is a dream come true. You know why she's a dream come true? She doesn't live... I don't even think she lives in Canada, honestly. We get her mail on occasion. A couple times a year a piece of mail comes. Every piece of mail is like, sell us your apartment. Or, here's what your apartment's worth. We deal with everything through a property management company. So once a year, we send a text to our property manager and go, hey, can we stay for another year? And she goes, yeah. And we go, are you gonna raise the rent? And she goes, yeah, not a big deal. It's a dream come true. They're supposed to be able to raise it by like 4% a year, which is fairly, or maybe it's even 2% a year. It's fairly reasonable. I'm not a really eat the rich sort of guy, okay? You know, inflation is 3% a year, or something along those lines. I don't mind paying an extra 2 to 4% a year in rent. Dude, have you noticed how fast the explosivo shots work with this bouncing? That makes sense. Admittedly, by the way, what I just said makes me very privileged. Step 1 is accepting it, I suppose. I don't know what step 2 is. Step 2 is never becoming as wealthy as Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos, so you don't have people on Twitter asking you and telling you that merely having a large amount of money is akin to creating economic inequality in the world. But again, you know, I'm not much of an expert when it comes to these issues, so I mostly just let people argue about it on Twitter, and then I kind of try to figure out what side's winning, and then that's where my opinion ends up lying. Explosivo was not the right choice, but it's doing some good work for us. I've had 3 landlords in Vancouver. 2 of them, I had like great, modest, terrible. Terrible, you just heard. Great, you just heard. What was the modest? I moved in with Kate in an illegal suite in Vancouver when I first moved here. It was $800 a month for a converted garage with a bathroom and a hot plate. It sucked. It was like living in, you know, like what the people from Friends, what they would have actually been able to afford in real life if it weren't a TV show. That was basically what we lived in. It was in, you know, there are people who live in basement suites in Vancouver. Corey lives in a basement suite. We've been to his basement suite. It's nice. Our basement suite was not nice. This dude had a garage. It was cozy, I'll give you that. And was like, my mortgage is $4,300 a month. What can I do about that? Well, what if we turn the garage into a living space for people who don't know better, more or less. So yeah, we lived in this dude's garage. He was getting a steal. He's renting his garage out for like what you can rent a house for in North Carolina. And that's not even a bad market. Anyway, after I moved in, there was a knock at our shared door. So I open it up. And he goes, hey, so we've noticed over the past couple of months that you're like living here, the utilities have spiked a lot. Like a lot. So we need you guys to pay an extra $100 a month in order to cover the change in utilities. Now, you might be saying that sounds reasonable. I've been paying the utilities for myself and my wife for the past 6 years, roughly. For us combined, it doesn't equal $100 a month. We're talking, and we have a stove now, and like a nice shower, and air conditioning, you know? It's like all of our utilities are like maybe $80 a month. So basically these guys were just slumlords. But apart from that, they were a really nice family. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps us a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. And thanks for watching. I will see you next time.